kicking for the like it's 9-3. You see, Rob impact the mic, keeping it real, G. Talking about relationships, money, and health. Dropping knowledge while I'm spitting it, that's a wealth.
Complex conversations, we break it down. Pop culture topics, we hold it down. Dive deep into society's complexities. Educate, entertain, never rest in it. Complex
Context, where the truth unfolds. Analyzing life through stories untold. Rob impact, dropping knowledge every day.
Unpacking life's complexities, one topic at a time. You're listening to Complex Context. Here is your host, Rob Impact.
Can you believe it? It's time to come back to a new episode of Complex Context already. I feel like we just hit you off with the latest episode and we're already back. That's how quick my week has been going by. What about you? How was your week? Was it one of those that went by so quickly you can't even believe how quick it went by, or was it one of those that just could not end soon enough? Those can be a real killer to deal with. Hi, I'm Rob Impact, the host of Complex Context, and I'm ready to open up my bottle of water here because I'm a little thirsty. I started the show not properly hydrating myself. Shame on me. I should do better for future episodes. Everybody needs to be hydrated. Hold on, let me have a sip right here. Nothing beats a good bottle of water. Make sure you hydrate yourself, folks. Now, I'm not one for those 8 glasses a day. Everybody's different, so you can't, as most anything, diets and the food intake, you can't one-off that. But I will say water is pretty non-negotiable. You do need a pretty decent amount, so that's my tip for you today. Make sure you're well hydrated. Yeah, my week has just been unbelievable. I was so busy. I've worked up a sweat almost every single day due to the physical nature of what I've been doing at work, and I have no regrets about it. It felt really good to know I was accomplishing something that was desired by a number of people and really needed to be done, and for me to be able to go in there with some creative freedom and make sure that I was accomplishing not just what was needed, but what I was hoping for, that felt really good. But I'll tell you, I probably haven't sweat like that in a good 5-6 years. I think the last time I sweat as much as I did at the worst this week was when I was putting in a wire fence in the backyard for my dogs so that they could run around. And hoo-wee, it was crazy. I have a picture of myself. Maybe I'll post it. I don't know. But you can pretty much see the bottom half of my shirt was completely soaked. I couldn't believe it. I felt terrible once the come down started after I was done with my shift. It was just, I overdid it. I kind of take for granted that I'm at a point in life where I can't do major things like this on my own, or I can, but you really shouldn't. You should partner up where possible and make sure for the heavy stuff and the awkward things that you have somebody good with you. And I kind of got a little selfish. Well, I did get selfish, and I overexerted myself, and I just felt awful after, which was my own fault. But to say that the sacrifice was worth it, I can't say that it wasn't a sense of pride that I was left with, right? To be able to make some areas free and clear and organized, it really felt good. I can't sacrifice my my well-being the way that I did, or to the extent that I did, but I know better, and I know that at least I've made a good impression over the past week. Now, as far as your week, I know that last week we were together, we were talking about various things, and I'm happy to do that again. So if you have any input on today's show or a past show, maybe you want to contribute, feel free to contact us. You can reach us by email at complexcontextshow@yahoo.com. Also, facebook.com/complexcontext1. And we are on X at complexcontext1. You know what seems to be all the rage, and maybe it's just me picking up on it more than I have in the past, but limited edition. Limited edition almost anything. Hey, you can't miss out on this. It's only around for a limited time. Oh, well, this is a limited offering. There are so many industries that are experimenting, I guess, with limited edition or limited time offerings. It's getting a little out of hand, in my opinion. I get it. It's nice to have a flavor of the month to be all goo goo gaga over and have that vibe of needing to get in on the latest action. I get it. It's a very big marketing thing. And I know that there are some products that fall under these limited offerings that are really cool and people like it. But when you start off by saying, hey, we're going to offer something new, and by the way, we're only going to offer it for a certain time period, or we're only making so much of it. I mean, the quantity thing, you could kind of argue if something is manufactured in a limited quantity. Okay, I kind of get that. It could be a cost of manufacturing aspect to it. That's fine. But when you're consciously saying, hey, it's not necessarily the manufacturing or the ability to provide something that is limited to us. We're just going to put a time frame on something and say, you better get something while it's being offered. That to me, I don't know. I more and more I hear about it, the more it kind of gets under my skin. And here's why. And you're probably going, geez, Rob, you sound a little bitter about it. No, I'm not bitter, but I'm a person of routine, okay? It's important for me to know that things that I get comfortable with and things that I really enjoy, if I'm going to build this, let's say this relationship with an item or a service, it's me and you, baby. We're going to do great things together. I can't wait to consume you, or I can't wait to have you serve a purpose in my life. That feels good, right? You know what you're getting into. And when you have that satisfaction, you're like, this is great. I am looking forward to repeated instances of participation. And I think there's something good about people feeling as though they have an old, reliable, comforting premise or product that's around. That, to me, is important. Maybe not to a lot of other people, maybe not to some younger people, I don't know. But from my perspective, I think there is a lot to say about brand loyalty if you do it right. So when I see and hear about these limited time offers, it just reeks of cash grab. Now, let's talk about fast food. Fast food, which I don't really have a lot of to begin with, but fast food is notorious as of late for having these limited offerings. And sometimes it's a hit or miss. They could just be coming out with something for the sake of saying, let's try it. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. What I am saying is, if you come out with something that really is a hit, you can't put on that limited time offering label on it and assume that you're going to pull it no matter what. That would just be a crappy business decision, right? If you're saying, hey, we're going to come out with this menu of limited time items, and one of those items provides you, let's say, a 18 to, and I'm saying this with no metrics in front of me, let's say an 18 to 20% increase in business over the course of a month from when it was released. Are you telling me that you're going to stick to your guns and say, yeah, you know, in another month we're going to pull that anyways? That's stupid. No good business person would decide that. So now you're in the position of having to explain, well, we marketed it as a limited time, but now we're going to say, nope, it's been so good. Now we're going to keep a food item around permanently on our menu. There's two sides to that scenario. The first is you believe that keeping this item is going to yield continued success because your profits, your foot traffic has increased. The other side of that is when you don't market something as the flavor of the month, and I say that not just in terms of food, but as a cliche. When you market something as a flavor of the month, and then you go, nah, you know what, we're going to keep this around. Now you're kind of being inconsistent with the message that you originally came out with. And it could be taken as being indecisive. It could be taken as being supportive towards your customer base that enjoys your limited time offering and obviously through their wallet and their foot traffic said, no, we really like this. Consider it. But it's also almost a shot in the foot if you were to do something like that, because knowing that something's going to be around without any time constraint, it might have some people say, well, I don't need to get it as much or in as much of a quantity as I have been over a certain course of time because now I can take my time. It's going to be around. What's the rush? I'll enjoy it whenever I get back to it because I know they're keeping it around. So it's almost a catch-22 of you're damned either way. And to me, it's just better off not marketing something towards that, right? Just come out with something and let the consumers speak with their wallets and obviously with their minds, and they will dictate whether something deserves to be limited or not. I have trouble getting behind the concept of, hey, I should get something because it's only going to be around for so long. I would look at that as, no, it's the opposite. If you're going to come out with something and you're going to tell me it's only going to be around for maybe 6 to 8 weeks, why am I supposed to just go crazy about it, whip out the wallet and go, here, take my money. I got to have it. If I hadn't had something before and you're telling me it's going to be taken away shortly after introducing it, to me, I'm going to say, why bother? I'm not going to bother going out and trying to rush on this idea, this product, this service that you're just going to take away anyways. So it's really a weird concept to me. I get it. It's probably mostly marketing mania, brother, for drawing the hype up to people and saying, you got to get this while you can. My thing is, not only is it a case of, if you're going to take it away relatively soon, I don't want to get into it. There's also the loyalty of quality that you enjoy from a product or service. So if I'm really into something and it's a limited time offer, I'm going to want to develop a loyalty that you're already saying, I can't have that. Or it's only going to be for so long and then it won't matter because you don't have the opportunity to have this product again in the future. So I'm supposed to enjoy it, and if it's a consumable or if it's something that wears away over time and eventually needs replacing, you're going to tell me I'm crap out of luck. That's weird to me. And that's just my opinion. I don't expect you to agree with it, but I don't know, maybe I'm old school because of my age. I just think that there is value in feeling good about being able to go to certain clothing items, certain food items, certain tools, and knowing that whatever you're presented as an option, you're pretty much going to, plus or minus maybe 10% of a design or a feature upgrade, you're going to have that available to you in the future in terms of if you want more of something, if you need to replace something, if you want to give a recommendation of something. It's harder to do that when you're going to have a conversation with someone and go, hey, did you buy this thing? And they go, no. I had no idea. And the response might be, that's too bad. It's not being sold anymore. I don't know if it's ever coming back. I would feel pretty bitter as a person knowing that I missed out on something that could have been beneficial or enjoyable to me, because there was an intent already from the get-go of saying, yeah, you have a small time period to get this or otherwise you're SOL. I don't know, man. That might just be United States of Business Marketing 101 stuff these days. I don't agree with it. I think there is value of not introducing a service or a product that has that limited time offering already labeled to it. If it's successful, you wouldn't have to worry about justifying why you said that, and then you're going back on your word saying, yeah, you know what, it's not going to be limited time, and not having to worry about the consumer feeling like they went all in with their wallet because they wanted to get as much of it as possible during the time frame that you said, now we decided we just fluffed that time frame when it's actually going nowhere. You have to be careful about those things. I don't know, is it just me? You let me know. I would be interested. Feel free to give your opinion and contact the show. Now, I would like to give you something of use, something that isn't a limited time offering. I want to give you some ridiculous life advice.
Ridiculous life advice.
It is normal for inflation to make you feel deflated.
Ridiculous life advice.
Good old ridiculous life advice. It's my favorite. It's my favorite segment. I don't know why. Probably because of how it's titled, ridiculous. It just makes me feel good. I don't know why that is, but it does. It does. I want to remind you that you can check out all things Complex Context at our official webpage, hosted by our show's distribution partner, hosting partner, all things good with podcasting. They are Podbean. Hey, Podbean people. Hope you've been doing well, and thank you as always for your help and your time with us. You could check us out at complexcontext.podbean.com, and there you will find a little bit of information about the show. You'll find all the episodes there in one spot if you would like that, and you'll also see the 11 platforms that we are on where you can find us, all the big boys, some of the smaller guys in the podcast game, and we're on YouTube. So if you'd like to have our logo on your screen while you're listening, we would love that. There's links to all of that at our official webpage, complexcontext.podbean.com. And a special shout going out to our listeners in New Hampshire and Pennsylvania. I see you. I appreciate you. And to all of the listeners globally, we're very appreciative of your time. But we had to give the extra love for the New Hampshire and Pennsylvania folks because they've been a little extra, and we appreciate your time and your commitment very much to the show. In my sporadic and casual glancing of the internet, specifically social media means, there is such an overabundance of pages and these entities, these, I don't want to say business entities, but let's say it just for the sake of saying it, almost like a company, almost like a doing business as entity, where people are focused on covering one particular subject matter. And I find that there is such an overlap and such redundant entities like this on almost any one subject matter. It's a little bit tiring to have to shuffle through all the junk to find ones that are really innovative and ahead of the curve with new information. My example is, now I've mentioned this in prior episodes, I am a pro wrestling fan. I haven't watched it as much over the past couple weeks. It's just been a matter of kind of getting my footing with my new job and my sleep schedule, and I've just been so tired. So it's not that I don't want to, it's just I haven't been able to. But pro wrestling has an overabundance of Facebook pages and certain business or doing business as entity names on X, just providing the same information over and over again. It's almost like, let's take, for example, the entertainment world and a lot of the outlets that are redundant. By that, I mean, and I'm going to put in a mixture of current and past instances of this, your TMZs, Entertainment Tonight, your extras, your inside editions, things of that nature. For the most part, they're covering the same stuff with very little variation. So you don't need that kind of redundancy. Now, I get that there is the aspect of how something is presented and maybe the personalities who are presenting it. You know, that variation could draw you in one way or the other a little bit more. But for the most part, if you're looking to get down to the subject matter, you just want one set of information that is fairly accurate, if not completely. In my case, with pro wrestling, over the years, there have been so many people that have started their own pro wrestling pages. And I don't want to name names. I know clearly the ones that have been around since the dial-up era of internet or shortly thereafter. And then you have others that just put a name there and they make a logo and boom, I'm going to give you some information. But most of the information that has to do with, say, wrestling events from the mid to late 90s or certain wrestler information that maybe was taboo to discuss in the past, but has been discussed ad nauseum for the past 20 years, it's all out there and it's all repetitive. I'm not learning much of anything because the subject matter is so overly exposed and usually involves something that was covered within the past 20 to 30 years anyways. So we have this thing with the internet now that everybody wants to be the subject matter expert. I agree that having wisdom and being able to contribute towards ensuring others know information, that's a good thing. But there is kind of this lost and unspoken nature of having to check what resources exist. One might say, hey, you've never had a case where in a library you're going to find one book on one subject matter. There's usually different input from different researchers or authors on a particular subject. I get that. But usually there is some identifiable variation from one source to the other. What I'm saying is, for a lot of subject matter, whether it's entertainment gossip, pro wrestling like I've given you, or maybe business manufacturing news. Let's say, bringing in the last thing that we talked about, limited edition offerings. There's going to be a limited edition Shirley Temple variant of 7-Up coming out for the holidays. Now, wouldn't you believe it, my wife saw it, sent it to me. That was the first exposure I had. And about 2 days later, I'm seeing it on 4 other social media pages and discussions. And I'm saying to myself, yeah, I get it. It's social media. People want to talk about it, but I'm not talking about the casual interaction or discussion of this. I'm talking about, let's say, entities, and I'm just making this up, like foodforfun.com would report on it, and then Soda Maniacs would report on it, and then consumer business convenience extra volume 144. You know what I mean? So you're having all of these sources report on it, and they're not reporting any different information. So that's where having the redundancy of the subject matter, it comes into play. Is it's not a fact of they're all talking about the same thing. It's a fact that not any one source is reporting anything differently than the first one. And my guess is most people get their hands on a press release or an initial source that has contacts that has that information, and then they roll with it and report on it as if it's their own. Folks, we are not TMZ. We're not the New York Times. We're not the Wall Street Journal. We're not all experts. We might have wisdom, and that's a good thing. And I think that's where the social media aspect and discussion boards, yes, I still am a big believer in discussion boards. Go check it out, folks. Don't let that die. That is a really good medium for people to be on. But those are really the areas where you can bring your wisdom and expand upon it with each other. All of these sites that just want to say, hey, breaking news, this pop star did this, and then you go see it 7 other times from 7 other different sources that all have the same content. It's just an overabundance to the point that it's made me feel like the internet is more and more junk mail than it is those few things that you would get in the mail and go, ooh, I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to read about it. I can't wait to involve myself in it. As soon as I see one entity giving me information on an occurrence or a product, it's like I have to go out of my way to avoid seeing that same information in 7 different places. And it's almost impossible. That kind of redundancy is just not necessary, and we as people need to be okay with the fact that we're not subject matter experts, nor are we news reporters. We can take our wisdom and we can spread it, but there's a way to do that without thinking that we work for the media. We don't. And if we did, I would like to think that anybody spearheading that kind of entity would go out of their way to say, okay, what can we offer that's different, not for the sake of being different, but different in terms of being just as valuable and not having 8, 9, 10 other resources already ahead of us and already with that same information. Guys, what are we doing? Pick one source, stick with it. Don't hesitate to question what are the experiences, what is the resume of what someone is bringing to the internet for them to give you information in a way that comes off like they're an amateur hour news reporter. What's your experience? And if there isn't, we need to be really cognizant about putting, in my opinion, and then stating what you have to state. Or tell me what your experience is. Tell me what your wisdom is. If you haven't been knee deep in something, tell me what you've done for how long that makes you a subject matter expert. We don't need probably 2/3 of the Facebook pages and the doing business as entities on X, and I'm sure other forms of social media that I don't have the desire to try and be a part of, but we don't need that. If you want to have information out there, let's stick to the ones that we know are reputable, or at least have given the real effort in proving that they are taking it seriously. And let's stop all trying to do our own thing that is just a poor man's knockoff of something that's out there 10 times already. come up with something different. Make it so that it's your own, and worry about attracting the folks who want the type of information that you can offer. And if not only you, that you're offering only in the manner that you can, to have people go, that makes me feel good. That makes me comfortable. I want the information from that source. So let's get on the ball with it. Let's stop encouraging all of this redundancy. We're not all news reporters. And even news industries right now, or different reporting entities, half of them are just junk anyways. Come on, guys, let's make the internet a less cramped place to be able to get our information from. Now, one thing that we like to offer here that, yes, you could go out and find, but you don't really have too many bringing this out and about. We like to do it as almost a public service for you, so you don't just have to randomly go and make the effort yourself. We like to give you a particular lesson to take with you over the next week and go, what kind of lesson would that be? A lesson from the Urban Dictionary.
Yo, it's time for the lessons. Urban words and the essence. Straight from the streets, no guessing. We'll break it down, no stressing. Stacks on stacks and drip too. What's the lingo? Yeah, what's new? From frontin' and keeping it true, we got the vocab for you. Urban Dictionary style. Learning words makes us smile.
Lessons from the Urban Dictionary is where we learn a word or a phrase, either past or present, which has been used enough to make its way to the Urban Dictionary. We use a random letter generator to choose a letter, and this episode's letter happened to be the letter W. W as in winner, winner, chicken dinner. So, I don't know why. I think I need some calories. I'm overdue for lunch. That's why I'm just coming out like all wacky today. So we have letter W. And then what we did is we took that randomly chosen letter and put that into the Urban Dictionary, and a random page that we came up with, we picked a random word, and the word that we are learning about is, and I apologize in advance if I mispronounce this, I think it's wapple. It could be wapple, but I want to say it's wapple. W-A-P-P-L-E. What is that? It is the act of one-upping somebody. Your example? Oh man, you totally had a good score, but Troy totally wappled you. Wapple. I like that. I think I might have to use that. A wapple. But I don't want to use it too often, because then after a while you're probably going to sound obnoxious, and I don't want to do that. But wapple is our lesson from the Urban Dictionary. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this has been a good opportunity for us to get some thoughts out, discuss a few things. Let's go back and forth. I'd love to hear from you. ComplexContextShow@yahoo.com, Facebook.com/ComplexContext1, and at ComplexContext1 on X. Don't forget YouTube, Spotify, Apple, everything. We are on all the big boys and more. Check us out. Enjoy your week. My name's Rob Impact. Do what you do it often, do it well. Just don't do anything I wouldn't do, and you'll be doing all right. Enjoy your week, and I'll catch up with you.
Visit the show's website at complexcontext.podbean.com. Complex Context is a Mass Ed Media production.